Welcome to today's NAREB podcast. Today we're going to be talking about how to purchase a home in 2003. I have three great panelists with me today to talk about how to purchase a home in 2023. I'm going to first start with Brian Parker. Brian is with Caldwell Banker Realty, and he's with the Parker House Group. He's a realtor and also a broker. Thank you, Brian, for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Great. And next I have Jessica James, and Jessica is with Associated Bank. She's an assistant vice president with the residential loan officer. So thank you for joining us.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
Good. And last but not least, we have our homeowner, our new homeowner, Maurice Hudson. And Maurice is, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, Maurice?
Yes. I ended up getting my house about a year ago, and 24 years old, and just excited and hungry. Just want to keep on going.
Great. Thank you for joining us. So,
Success story.
Yeah, that's right. He's a success story because we're here talking about home ownership, and we know how important it is to be a homeowner. And so we really wanted the leadership at NAREB, the board, wanted to have a conversation with the listening audience to really talk about, is it a right time to purchase a home? We hear different things about the interest rates. What's going on? They're getting high. Should I wait? Should I do something now? And so we're here to tell you it is still a good time to purchase a home. Somebody told me the other day, they said, when is the best time to purchase a home? They said yesterday. And I thought about that, and that is so true, because yesterday, you take advantage of the building equity. We're all about building wealth, and that's very important. So that's why we're here today. So I just wanted to go around the table and for you to tell me a little bit about yourself, right? And why are you here? And we'll start with you, Brian.
Thank you. I'm here because I am passionate about home ownership and closing the disparity gap, especially here in Minnesota. And one of the things that the purpose of being a realtor has been to help other people accomplish this goal of home ownership. And so thank you, Kim, for inviting me to come along. Recognize that from me.
Yeah. I love the passion.
Right.
And I think you have to have the passion to do the work that we do, right, as realtors. And it's important, and it shows in the delivery and what we deliver to our clients. So
purpose is, you got to have purpose, right?
That's
as
right.
long as you work on trying to do a good job and help people accomplish that goal, the money's coming. So when you come for the money, it's not so good.
I always say, do the right thing and lead with your heart. So thank you, Brian.
There we go.
Miss Jessica, tell me a little bit about yourself and why are you here?
Well, thank you again for having me. So the reason that I am here, I'm a community residential loan advisor with Associated Bank, and my passion is very similar to that of Brian's, just making sure that people are getting into home ownership, trying to close that disparity gap. I think it's really important to kind of make sure that we're pushing the fact that homeownership is important to build generational wealth, and just being able to help put people into homes, get them the financing that they need is kind of the reason that I do this work and why I'm a part of NAREB. So thank you again for having me.
All right, thank you. So just to clarify, we have someone here who writes the contracts, right? When you purchase a home, he's showing you the properties, right? He's working with you from beginning to the end of the process. We have Jessica, who is working to get you the best mortgage, right? Lending money, right? You look at lending money, the best program to put you in. Now we have Maurice here. Maurice, tell us a little bit, even though we kind of asked you to come on, right?
Absolutely.
But just why do you want to be here? You didn't have to be here. Why are you here?
My main goal is to show other people just like me that it is possible. I just recently bought my home I think it's about a year ago now. So
congratulations.
Thank you. I definitely appreciate that. And I just want to, be an advocate and show that it is possible. And I know that there's challenges and roadblocks ahead, but it's worthwhile. And I wouldn't be here today if I didn't have people in my corner. And I just want to be in individuals' corners and help them along their process. Along the way.
Great. Because, I think telling stories is important and to share your story, because other people can be in that same situation, right? Could be, maybe credit, they're having problems with credit and they think, oh, my credit's bad, I'll never own a home. But you've been able to overcome things, right? And I think it's important that they hear from you and you share your experience, right? Great. Thank you. Let me kick it off with the first question. My first question with you is, For the listening audience who's kind of thinking, okay, I've been on the fence, right? I don't know, is it time? But where do you start? Where does a person start with purchasing a home? And I'll start with you, Brian. Where do you start?
You usually can start in two places simultaneously, or one or the other. It would be usually when you're meeting or a realtor, you get in touch with them. Sometimes they know the lender first, and they can refer back and forth. So you start with, how do I get started? Come talk to us. Come talk to the professional that can guide you through that process. And it's like building a car behind the scenes, right? So Jessica is the one that's going to put the motor in it, though. So while we're driving.
I love that analogy.
So, and then here comes the buyer. We got to put it together so they can jump in with us, right? But the process, it must be financing. We got to know where you're at. And usually that is where a lot of the education comes in as far as what's necessary. You have people that assume there's myths of how much you need down, all of that. So someone like Jessica can dispel those myths about, you don't need 20,000, you don't need 20%, you qualify for this program and that program. And my job is to locate, negotiate on their behalf and show them how that process works so that I can keep it moving pretty smooth. Gabe put up the thing there. So the first step would be hire an agent, I'll say, and then get the loan. So they'll meet with Jessica to get qualified. And
okay, let me stop you because it says I'm following the path and it says hire an agent and find the right home. Is that right?
That's the wrong way to go. So we're going to zigzag a little bit on this here.
Thanks, Kim.
No.
I was going to ask that.
No. There was a time you might have been able to do that, but not today. With the market being as hot as it is, you want to make sure you got your ducks in a row. And when you got a mortgage pre-approval, not a qualified, not a looks good, but an approval.
I like that, not a looks good. Because there's a lot of folks out there that are doing the looks good. We need a pre-approval from a lender.
Correct. And that once you have that, whatever house you find, you're golden. It's yours, pretty much. Besides us making sure we negotiate a good deal. And when negotiating those deals, it's got to be win-win, right? It can't be like one person got over on the other. It's usually a meeting of the minds, right? So that would be the step after finding the home. And then, of course, the most definitely recommended is getting a home inspection. Because when we're looking at this house, you're only in it for 5-10 minutes in the showings if you're looking at a number of homes in the beginning. So the inspection is now somebody coming in, spending hours digging and probing and figuring out what's really wrong with this house. You're paying somebody to find out what's all wrong with this house you're really ready to buy. And it educates you as a homeowner, like, how does this function? Where do I turn on the water? How do I turn on and off the lights?
It really does. Just kind of going through my process, having my inspector come in and just go through it. At the end of the day, I'm paying right now, so I don't have any hiccups or worries down the line. And as you said, you're only there for 5-10 minutes, like checking out the house. You don't know what's going on underlying with the place, and having that inspector just gives you more peace of mind.
There you go.
And just ensures that you're making a right purchase within this.
Right. And the inspections aren't pass fail. It is peace of mind.
I like that.
Yeah, definitely. And then, we get to the point where we're now buying that home. We're getting to the closing table, we'll say. And that is, we do this, obviously we get paid a commission to do so, but the priceless reward is seeing people happy, successful. We've helped them achieve and accomplish that goal. We've been invited to help, I'll say. It's an honor.
Yeah. I love what you said, peace of mind. That made me think of when you purchase a car, right? I've purchased many cars, used cars, and I never just purchase a car. I get it inspected and looked at, right? Well, here's the thing. You're buying a house.
Yeah.
The house costs so much more than a car.
Right.
Why wouldn't you? And there was a period, and maybe, Brian, you can speak about it. Wasn't there a period where people were foregoing inspections?
They're actually still somewhat being encouraged to do so. And there's a difference. You can still have an inspection, but maybe if you're in a multiple bidding war, whatever you can maybe not make it contingent.
That's the key.
At least through the inspection, still have the inspection. Right. For informational purposes. And if you discover something terribly wrong, in goodwill, it doesn't hurt to go back and be like, listen, the place is really about to fall over.
Right. That's why I think you get a trusted experienced realtor, right? A real
Yes.
estate agent that's going to help you through the process. And if you get to that point, they're skilled and the knowledge to negotiate anything because they've
Right.
been doing it for years. So that's very important.
Very.
Good, good, good. So, and I was going to ask you a question, but we talked about where do you start, and you took us through the whole process there. So I think that was great. Let's talk about. So I'm on the fence, right? And I've looked at kind of the diagram. Okay, what I need to do first, right? But so it said to find a real estate agent. So how do I do that? What are things that I look for? How do I start looking for a real estate agent?
Well, typically, realtors are referred. That's the
Mhm.
big way we kind of get our
Mm.
business, So it's the networking, and people work with who they know, and like whatever realtor I may, if I wasn't a realtor, I work with this person. You should use them. You know what I mean? That's pretty much the way it goes.
Word of
right?
mouth. Word of mouth.
Right, word
Right.
of mouth.
Absolutely.
And so you hear some people say, well, you should interview so many. Well, that gets tedious. It's about a fit. If you got to work with somebody who's listening to you, who's understanding what you're
Mhm.
trying to do, not just worrying about themselves. I mean, there's a lot of people that are kind of like rushing you through the process, and you got to make sure that you're comfortable with who you're meeting with as a realtor.
That's
Maurice,
important.
Who helped you find your realtor?
Mr. Trent Bauman, good
Oh.
family friend, and one day I just ended up coming up to him and saying, "Hey, I want to get out of renting. I want to buy a home."
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
And go ahead.
no, go ahead. You.
And just basically, he said, "I'm gonna get you with the right people," and basically just networking with his trusted team and his trusted individuals, and we just started having that conversation and started building the rapport, and that was imperative to me because didn't treat me like a client, treated me as a family member, a friend, and it just made it that much easier. I'm comfortable around them, and I'm not scared to ask it like any questions, and just they just want to ensure that I was going to find the right home for me. So
Right.
just having that right team around you is important.
I want to add to that because that's exactly kind of speaks to what I said earlier. Usually, you'll find your realtor through your lender, depending on which route first. You might have already known a realtor, but definitely, I'm a true believer to not say that I'm a salesperson, right? A lot of realtors want to, we're sales. It's considered that we're in sales, but actually, to me, the definition of sales is to convince somebody to do something that they haven't already tried to do, right? And that gets kind of hairy to me. So I think of us more like consultants and advisors.
Right.
And so you've already decided that's what you wanted to do.
Mhm.
So it should be easier as a realtor to let me advise you through this process and make
Absolutely.
it comfortable. And I definitely invite questions.
Right.
I need you to know what you're doing throughout
Yeah,
the whole
yeah.
thing.
I totally agree. As a real estate agent, it's just my job to help you find what you're looking for
Mhm.
and to make your dream of homeownership come true. I'm the vehicle to help you get there, right? And I think that's very important. Gabe, there is a slide on how to choose a realtor. And let's just take a look at that and just put that up there. And Brian, if you wouldn't mind just kind of walking us through that. You don't have to read the whole thing, but
All
just
right.
the key things, key points there.
Okay. Locally based. That's good. And I'll add to that saying somebody who's let me back it up. Locally based is good. You got somebody who's very familiar with the neighborhood or community that you're interested in purchasing. That's a really good thing to make sure that people are experienced. There's going to be a variety of experiences with agents, right? Like you're going to have your new rookies. They got to get to year 5, 10 somehow. So
Right.
as long as they're
They have to
reputable,
start somewhere, right?
Right. As long as they've been, they you can kind of tell that they're educated depending on the questions you're asking, and if they're willing to go find the answers that they don't know right now, that feel comfortable with that.
Right.
At least they're willing to go find the answers.
Right.
Reputable, definitely a plus. I mean, you want somebody who's really about you. Right. Again, it goes back to it's not about us, it's about you. Let me see if I can. My passion is my passion to make sure that you're getting at it. The reputable comes with that. Active is a big importance. I'm glad it's in red because we got a lot of part timers, and if they're not doing a volume of business, they're not really up on what's going on, which can almost be a detriment to the clients because we're doing this every day, all day. We're seeing what's going on, and it's real time, like rates even, and just all that stuff and stuff that's coming on fresh. Like we want to be on top of it, right? So the multiple offer situations that we're having today because of the hotness of the market, we don't have a lot of inventory. So you got 10 to 15 buyers in one house, right? If I'm part-time in it and I'm at work, I might not be as versed as to what's available to you and you might miss out on something. So active is a big one for me on that one, but choosing a realtor, sit down, make sure it's a fit, you're comfortable, you're able to ask those questions, they're knowledgeable.
I like how you started off talking about referrals. And it's very important that I think you had a referral, right? It was somebody that you knew, and that's a referral. It's always good to reach out to somebody who's been through something, right?
Right.
Where they can help you and say, hey, I got somebody for you. They took really good care of me. They did A, B, C, and D. And you'd be like, wow, they did what? Hey, connect me with them, hook me up with them. Because I think it's important that we find somebody that we trust. I mean, I think that's key, especially in the Black community. I'm just keeping it real.
Absolutely.
Somebody that we trust. So it's important to find somebody that you trust. I'm going to switch gears here now, and I'm going to go over to Jessica, and let's talk about choosing a lender. And I think, Gabe, there is a slide on that. And talk to us about what should we look for? What should the listening audience look for if they're trying to figure out, okay, they found a realtor now, right? And now they got to look for the mortgage, right?
Yep.
What are the things that they look for?
Absolutely. So in looking for a lender, like there's obviously you found your realtor. A few different things that you can do when you're looking for a realtor is one, you want to make sure that you're researching your loan options.
Right.
Not all lenders can do all things. So it's really important to understand that first and foremost. So just make sure that you're doing your research. Some lenders can do Minnesota housing. Some lenders might have grant money available where you don't have to pay that back. Some lenders might have just some other opportunities that you can explore in way of, first mortgages as well as down payment assistance programs. So just make sure that you do your research, making sure that you find a lender that is going to, give you what it is that you're looking for when you're purchasing your home is really super important. Making sure that you consider different kinds of lenders. As I mentioned, not everybody does everything.
Right.
Understanding your fees. So when you're shopping around, right, you're like, okay, well, what am I going to pay for each? Are these lenders going to have different, dollar amounts for my closing costs? Is somebody going to charge me a point? You really just don't know until you do your research and call around and make sure that you're understanding your fees, get estimates if you're able to on what those fees are. You want to make sure that you're connecting with your agent. Your agent might also have some referrals. As he mentioned, he gets his referrals from other people. I get my referrals from the realtors. So they come to me, they'll give me their, customers. This customer is looking for this. This customer is looking for that. One of the most important things is we do ask that you do check with multiple lenders when you're deciding, just to make sure that you're getting into the best product for you personally. And then also, make sure that you're kind of understanding what it is that you need in way of down payment assistance, things like that, to better decide who it is that you're going to want to go with or work with for the lender. Make sure that the lender is licensed. That's super important. There is a state registry here in Minnesota. It's actually the Minnesota Department of Commerce is who regulates the NMLS, but all of us loan officers are required by the nationwide mortgage licensing system to have a NMLS license in order to originate your mortgage. This comes sometimes it comes through the bank, so they're able to do mortgages everywhere across the nation. And then other times in broker situations, they may be getting it by state. So you might go with a broker, and let's just say the loan officer who's working with a broker might be able to originate your loan in Minnesota, but let's just say you want to buy a second home in Florida. They may not be able to do that. So just making sure that you understand what it is that you need as a consumer, as well as kind of, what you can afford and what you need from your financing is really super important when you're seeking out a lender. And last but not least, I will say that making sure that you like who you work with.
Yeah.
I think that's really important. I don't know
Absolutely.
if who your lender ended up being. I'm curious to know.
I second that.
Yeah, that is. But you have to be able to like
Right.
work together. If, to your point, you asked a lot of questions, some lenders might be like, oh gosh, this guy's asking me too many questions. I don't want to answer the phone. Like, so that could be a turnoff
Right. between
that relationship between you and your lender. So just making sure that, you're asking those questions, that you're comfortable with whoever it is that you're working with.
Because at the end of the day, they need to be willing to answer those questions, and if they don't have the answers, be willing to find those answers for you, because you're like the homeowner is buying the place. Just want to make sure that you know everything that's going into it,
Absolutely.
every single step, because this is a huge purchase. Might be one of the biggest events in people's lives.
Mhm.
And having that knowledge and just knowing that you have everything behind you, it just gives you more confidence going into it, saying like, hey, I know this, that, and the other. I have this team behind me.
Absolutely.
Anything's possible.
I really like that you say that. One of the things that I think you hit the nail on the head with is saying that we're more like counselors or advisors in this community space. I feel like it is my job to make sure that my customer closes on this loan and knows exactly what it is that they're getting into. If you have any, I tell my customers all the time, you can call me every day if you want to. I prefer that you don't, but if you want to,
Right.
I will happily answer that phone call, because it is an important purchase for you, especially as a first-time home buyer. There's a lot of information that you're not really familiar with just getting into it. Can I buy points? Do I buy points? What is my interest rate? When can I lock? There's so many different things that go into it. I think it's just really important that you have that connection with your lender.
That separates the good from the great.
Absolutely.
Love
it.
that. The good from the
Yes.
great.
Communication, everything.
Yes.
That's
Absolutely.
huge right there. That's big communication.
Yeah, yeah. And I liked the team, working as a team. Find a real estate agent, find a mortgage lender who works as a team, who's there to help you. Because at the end of the day, you're paying them.
Right.
Right. And let's not forget about, the most important person in this transaction, right? Is the housing counselor. We talked a lot about this last podcast, right? We definitely want to make sure that, first-time home buyers, the housing counselors can be a super huge asset during your search. They can help you find a realtor. They can help you find a lender. They can help you search out down payment assistance. They can help you find different programs. So really kind of starting with them is really a good place to go to when you're looking to start that home buying process.
And I'll say that they get salary, right? But they're not paid on any sort of commission. So they're really truly there to help you. And for the listeners, you can go to the Homeownership Center's website and hocmn.org, and they can provide you with information for an advisor that's in your area. So thanks for mentioning that. Appreciate that. But I want to go back to Maurice and ask you a question. So what did when you were working with the real estate agent and working with the lender, what was your experience? Just give us some of the highlights or challenges that you might have experienced that you had.
It was a lot of me not knowing.
Okay.
And me learning, I had to go in with an open mind, knowing that I'm not going to know everything that goes into this. Even if I do tons and tons of research, I'm not in the position of the lender. I'm not in the position of the realtor, which I don't have all the information. That's where they come in and help me understand the things that I don't know. And my experience was very eye-opening in a sense that a lot of preconceived notions that I had prior started getting chipped away, where my lender ended up letting me know, like, hey, it's not, you don't have to put 20% down. You can do this, that, and the other. And I'm just like, hey, I didn't know that. And the process of buying a home and just kind of getting acclimated with that, was huge for me. Just learning the process. It was a very big moment for me to be a sponge and just get all the information, all the knowledge that I really needed to be in this position again. That's this one home. Now I'm going to have more knowledge and more information going to the next one. But at the same time, I'm not going to know everything then as well. So that's where they step in and help me even further myself.
I love that. That's great.
Mhm.
I love that you're even thinking ahead now about he did the first home, so now he's already thinking about
Ready
the
to take
second
that
home.
next step.
That's how we build wealth. That's how wealth is built in
Absolutely.
America.
Mhm.
You know, it's either that or the stock market, right?
Well,
You know.
yeah, but they're not making any more earth. So it's always going to be worth something. And real estate is valuable, period, no matter what. Like even when the crash happened, some of the silliest things happened. Like a lot of people just left their house because the markets started to talk about people being underwater. Well, it's just like stocks. If you bought it at 50 cents a share and it dropped down to 25 cents, that means it's not time to sell. But the difference between stocks and a real estate, it's still usable.
Right.
You still live there. You can still, sleep, eat, and do what you need to do, right?
Eventually, it's going to appreciate, right?
And if you
Yes,
have
absolutely,
investment
yeah.
property, you're still collecting rent.
Right.
So
Well, we
even though
were talking about what goes up must come down, except
real estate.
yes, that's right.
Yes.
That's right.
I like
That's
that.
right. That's right.
I'm just curious, Maurice, did you have any, I think some people's concern with getting into a loan, I like to say that I'm here to kind of walk people through that process,
Mhm.
make them feel comfortable with the process. But did you experience any hurdles through the lending process itself? Did you ever, like, there was some things you didn't think that you needed, but then they asked you for at the end or in mid-process? How did that experience
He
work
shakes
for
his
you?
head. Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm. Well, that happens all the time. Underwriters, right?
It was more so the credit aspect at first. I didn't necessarily have a good amount of credit history,
Mhm.
which that ended up kind of like throwing a hurdle in play, and me not knowing, okay, if I put out, let's say a $200,000 loan, me not knowing that this is how much I have to put down, but also the interest that comes into play, and the more underwriting things that come into like getting a loan. That was kind of my biggest challenge because I didn't know. I thought it was more so, hey, you get a loan, just got to pay it back.
Right.
So it was a lot more to go into that, and that was my biggest challenge, was just understanding and pushing through, even though I didn't know fully.
I really like that you said that because there is a lot more than just the credit score or your down payment that
Right.
goes into qualifying for the mortgage. Obviously, to your point, some things that can come into play with qualifying for a mortgage is you're thin, you're right. Your
Mhm.
credit's thin. You don't have as many trade lines. People need to see the trade lines on the mortgage, right? People don't think about these things
Right.
when they're getting into the home. Some programs require that you don't have any late in the last 12 to 24 months.
Mhm.
Those are things that, my credit score is 640, so I think I'm good to go in and apply, but you don't realize that these are overlays that you do
Mhm.
have to overcome. So it's really great to hear that you were able to kind of get through those hurdles and overcome those. Nice.
That's good. And that's why, you were mentioning that a housing advisor is good. Because I'll say that, a lot of people are worried about, their credit score, right? And they don't want their credit pulled, right? But an advisor can pull your credit and do a soft pull, right?
Right.
Where it's not going to impact the credit scores, right? The bureau credit scores. And they can give you an idea in terms of what you qualify for and what you need to do, especially if you don't have the credit, right? If you don't have so many trade lines, they can tell you, then this program, right? I can
Yep.
tell you about this program where they can use alternative credit, right? Where they can pull your cell phone bills and they can pull your electricity bills and your utility bills and provide that history, because what they're trying to do is get a track record of how you've been paying people back, right? And if you ain't been paying people back right, as a lender, I ain't gonna give you no money.
Right.
That's just like if I have a cousin who wants to borrow some money from me.
It becomes a concern.
That's right.
That's right. That's right. So let's talk about, and I know, Brian, you talked about this earlier, but the market, right? Because the market changes, and that's why it's important to have someone local, experienced, and who knows active and knows the market. So is this a buyer's market, and is it a seller's market? And Gabe, there is a slide on buyer's, seller's market. If you could put that. I don't think that's the one. It's buyer.
There we go.
There we go. Perfect. Let's talk a little bit about that. What kind of market is it right now?
Right now, in my opinion, it's still a seller's market.
Okay. Okay.
Even though rates went up a little bit, and Jessica can attest to this, it basically was kind of like a speed bump back in maybe, not long ago, June, when rates started to creep up. It slowed things down a little bit, but we still have a shortage of inventory. There's still a shortage of housing out there. So here comes the supply and demand rule, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
We still, like I mentioned earlier, you got 10 to 15 buyers in one house. So you got sellers that are like really benefiting from that. And just owning a home, you're benefiting from that. And I would tell no one to wait because, like we talked about, prices aren't coming down, right? Rates may go down at some point. So get on the train of equity now.
Absolutely.
Pay whatever, make sure you're affording it, but get what you can get now. Hold on to it, get in the door. When the rates come down, you'll be able to, the floodgates open. You can buy whatever you need. You can switch up, move up, do whatever, but you need to get on now. And even though it says seller's market, buyers can still benefit. Get a hold of something, right? If you can get into something when the market is crazy, you're going to really be gravy when it gets nice.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
I like that you said buyers can still benefit because you can, get a good agent that can negotiate, right?
Right.
And, I can talk about, I closed a deal and got the seller to pay 3%.
Right.
It still happens.
Right.
Even in a seller's type market, markets change.
Well,
and
that goes to the experienced and the active agent because we know how to scour. I mean, if you're just looking at the top, whatever, I mean, right now it's like a clearance rack, so you got to, if there, you don't leave the shirt there and think when you get back, it might still be there.
I love that.
So you got to grab a hold of it and make sure you like that. And you know what I mean? So it's, get involved.
Yes,
Yeah.
I like that. And here's the thing, even though, they talk about the rates, and I think we're going to show something about the rates, if you can display that, but they talk about the rates going up. And they continue to go up, and are they going to go down? And who has a crystal ball? I always say I don't have a crystal ball. But, it goes back to when is the right time to buy a home, right? I always, yesterday, right? Because of the equity and it can increase. And I think what Brian was saying, you can always refinance, right?
Exactly. That's what I say. It's to his point, it is always a great time to buy. Okay. I don't care where rates are. I have customers all the time who are like, oh my God, very much hesitant on whether or not this is a good time for them to purchase a home, or they apply and they're like, oh, the market's just way too tough or rates are too high. When you talk about increase in rates, you're talking about lowering affordability. If the rate starts to go up, then the amount that we're able to qualify you for essentially is going to start to go down. So it is a really tough position to be in as it relates to all the, the houses and multiple bids and supply and demand and those things. But honestly, rates are going to continue to be what they are. They are regulated and we have zero control over that as lenders, unfortunately. But it is really always a great time to buy because, to your point, Kim, what goes up must eventually come back down, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So those things are definitely going to start to come back down eventually. And everybody has the opportunity to refinance, trade up, trade out, whatever it is that you choose to do. You do have that option.
We talked about this before, right? Like marry the house and date the rate.
That's right. That's right. I love that. Marry the house, date the rate.
I love that. I love that.
The huge thing about it is equity. At the end of the day, the rate is going to be the rate, and you're putting money into something that's going to appreciate and build wealth.
That's right.
And I always think that's a better situation than renting a place and basically that money's going in the trash. You're not building anything for you. The rate is going to be the rate, but if you're putting money into a place, you're gonna see that flourish.
You're putting the money. You're literally putting the money away.
Mm-hmm.
You're not spending
Yeah.
it. People
One
think,
pocket to
oh,
the
that
next.
money's gone. That
Yeah.
money's gone. No, you're really putting it
Let's
away.
think
Yeah,
about
you're
the rate of
reserving it.
renting, right?
Mhm.
What
Right.
is the rate of renting?
Right,
You know,
right.
what are you really paying, or what are
Mhm.
you getting in return for
Mhm.
renting that home? You're getting nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
It's a
You're getting
long-term
nothing.
hotel stay.
Yeah,
Yep,
exactly.
Pretty
that
much,
exactly.
Pretty
An
much.
extended Airbnb, if you will.
Right.
I always
right.
say that you're paying a mortgage. Either it's yours or someone else's.
Exactly.
And so I love how you started talking about equity. And, you know, NAREB, our organization, is all about helping Black people build their wealth.
Mm-hmm.
And we truly believe that home ownership really is truly the way. And, you know, and purchasing a home isn't for everyone, right?
Right.
Mhm.
And that's okay. But I think that we know from experience what it can do for you. And another thing is, we're not saying, you know, purchase a house, it's perfect, but, you know, spend the money. Don't over purchase.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? We want, and that's why it's important to get a trusted advisor,
Right.
a trusted real estate agent, a trusted lender, so you don't over purchase, right? Don't buy more than you can spend. Because here's the thing, and I think we were talking about that when you buy a car, right? So, you know, you have a Mercedes, right? But you didn't start with the Mercedes. Your first car wasn't a Mercedes.
It might have been a Buick.
It might.
Right.
No, that was me.
And so you got to start somewhere,
Mhm.
right? And here we have a new homeowner, right? That's already thinking about that next move,
Right.
right?
It's
That-
all about getting that foot in the door
Right.
and building those steps accordingly.
Because
Yeah,
once
yeah.
you're in the door, like I said, you can do it from now on. And,
Mhm.
and that's going to take you there because you've been
Right.
socking this money away in equity.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and I'll speak to again the today's market. It's like, it's crazy, but it's not stupid. So even though, like you said, you don't want to overdo it and over whatever, you know, and people are smarter than what they, sometimes we're smarter than we think. We know more than we think we know.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, those houses that are out there overpriced are the ones that are around that long because you don't want to pay too much more for that. And the public is kind of smart.
Mhm.
And the agents are advising correctly. Like, I don't know if you want to start on that one there.
Right.
Mhm.
You know, so you got sellers that are kind. There's a number of sellers that are a little greedy with the market, thinking, "Oh, I can just write my own check." Well, your house will sit around longer, and you'll end up coming back down to reality,
Mhm.
or even further back because you wanted to be greedy.
Yeah, yeah. No, great conversation, you guys. I want to ask a question. If we have someone who's listening that had thought about purchasing a home at one time and they're kind of like, nah, it's not for me. I don't think I can do it, right? I'm telling you, I'm just telling you that I got cousins that are like this,
Yeah.
that are on the fence, like, no, you know, they're, you know, they feel like they're past their prime, whatever. I mean, and I'll say that because I know I sold a home to a lady that was like 85 years old, first time home buyer.
Oh, wow.
And I just cried,
That's
you know,
wonderful.
because it was
Awesome.
like real, you know, you
She did it.
she did it.
Right.
She did it.
Yeah.
And I think we're here to say that you can do it too. So what would we say to that person that's on the fence?
I would say a lot of times they're thinking about the responsibility of owning a home,
Right.
right? So usually when I'm meeting with my people, we're talking about, you know, your lifestyle. So your lifestyle can dictate the style of home you want to buy. So maybe you're not that handy. Maybe you don't. Maybe you're afraid of shoveling a bunch of snow and cutting grass and things like that. So maybe a house, single family isn't for you, but townhome might be it.
Townhouse,
Mhm.
condo.
Might
Right.
be it.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So
There's
there's
different options.
other options, but at least again, you're gonna pay somebody's mortgage. Might as well pay your own.
That's
Right.
right. Build that equity.
And folks assume, well, I'm stuck with it. I might not be in Minnesota. All these different excuses they're giving themselves. Well, you're never stuck with real estate.
Not
Like
at
I
all.
said
Right.
before, they're not making any more earth. So somebody's gonna want it.
Right.
You know, and
That's true.
some of the differences between like commercial and residential. Commercial can be more specific. That's why it can be a little bit slower and a lot more. You got to be more concerned about what you're doing in that.
Mhm.
But everybody needs a roof over here. Everybody
Mhm.
needs a place to live. So I don't care if they say location, location, location. It's really price, price, price. Because
Yes.
every house will sell,
Mm-hmm.
no matter where it's at, as long as it's priced right.
I like that. I like that. That's good.
And
That's
the-
good. Go ahead. What
Oh,
would you
I'm
What
so
would you
sorry,
tell
but,
that person who's what would you tell my cousin?
I would say what's really stopping you.
Ooh.
I feel like with most people is just their fear of the unknown,
Mm.
and that's where finding the right team and having them behind you comes into play. And I'm not gonna lie. I was on the fence for about 2-3 months. I was debating. I was getting out of my lease at my apartment. I was like, maybe it's just a little bit easier just to re-sign that lease and just keep on going because I'm scared. And that's what was stopping me is the fear of the unknown. But once you start asking these questions that need to be asked and to get the information that you need to get, it becomes all it makes sense. It becomes clear. And at the end of the day, it's just the best time to buy a place or property is, as you said yesterday, right now. Just got to go for it because at the end of the day, you're putting yourself in a position to succeed down the line, and that was my big stickler.
It's not the worst thing you can do.
No,
buy
not
a
at all.
house. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Oh, no worries.
You know, when you were saying like people are scared, you know, you got that fear of the unknown. At the end of the day, it's like we've been conditioned to not think that way. So the mindset needs to change. It's like, okay, let me get rid of all those doubts and all those different things because at the end of the day, it turns into what you need to be doing.
I think that's exactly what I was going to say after you went is definitely the most that I hear is I'm scared. I'm not going to qualify. I don't meet the requirements. I don't have any money to put down on it. There's just a lot of hesitation around the unknown. Yeah. And I think it's really important to seek out that guidance and advice to be able to help push you forward, but don't stop because you don't know. That's the worst thing I think.
Because when you hear 30 years and you hear thousands of dollars and stuff like that, people get a little nervous, but they'll do it for a car.
They're quick to jump in that Corvette.
Right. They'll do it for other things.
$350 with the $750 car payment. You know,
right.
You know, so it's really again mindset. Yeah. So I think that's the advice. What is that? The advice, the counsel place, the advice. You know what I'm talking about.
You said success is a mindset, right? Success is a mindset.
The big thing with that is I love the fact that you brought up the car situation. That's a depreciating asset.
Oh. Mm-hmm. As soon as you drive it off the lot, new car. As soon as you drive off the lot.
A house, that's always going up.
Yeah.
It might fluctuate from time to time, but guess what? Appreciation.
Yeah.
And the three biggest words that got me over the fence: build generational wealth.
I like that.
That simple.
Yeah.
Not only that, while your houses are going to appreciate, you're gaining equity by paying that principal balance down as well.
Exactly.
So regardless of your appreciation, you're still building equity and building wealth for yourself as well as any family going forward.
I love your comparison, a car to a house. And that's so true. It's like something's going to appreciate and something depreciates. And we need to think about that. I love the conversation because I'm hearing fear, right? There's that fear, you know, but people, it's important that you overcome your fears, right? Because then there's got to be something else. And then if you can manage your fears and work with them, right? We don't want people to get stuck in their situations, right?
It's growth.
And it's I love that. It is growth, and it's about building wealth for your families, for legacy.
I like seeing these days. I mean, I appreciate that things have caught, like the phrases building generational wealth and all that. I mean, it's always been, but you're hearing about it more and more all over the place in music and TV and social media, everywhere. And, you know, you kind of get like, okay, this is getting a little boring to keep hearing the same thing, but it's necessary. It's starting to catch. And more younger people are thinking about it. So the millennials are thinking more so now where they would have waited, right? So now that it's popular, it's a good popular.
Yeah. You know, I hear about people that are spending thousands of dollars on rent and $1,000 on a car. And so they're paying all this for none, you know, to live in a place, right? Where once they can't make the payment, right, they got to get up out of there, right? And they have no equity in it, right, in their rental units. And then the car, almost the same thing. So if you can't make that $700 car payment, somebody's coming looking for that car.
Slippery slope, because once you do that, because you got to qualify for rental.
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
And the requirements are not much different than a mortgage right now. Let me tell you.
So if somebody can afford this $3,000 small apartment downtown or wherever it's at, then you definitely can afford maybe a $1,500 or $2,000 a month house payment.
Exactly.
So it's about prioritizing too,
It
because
really
people
is.
are doing a lot of right nows. And my mom used to say, beat up. What she say? Like dressed up. A beat up car beats a dressed up walk. So get your house together.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, love
You
it,
know,
love
you
it.
gotta be living. You know, you should be laying your head a lot
Mhm.
better than how you're driving.
And
That's
I
right.
love that you brought that up because like hearing from my mom and my dad, they always said, focus on the house first. Like the set of wheels is gonna come.
Yeah,
But
where you driving to?
exactly. Right now it's about with the car is about getting to point A, point B, and point A back. But with the house, it's so much more. It's so much more. Focus on the house, then everything else would just line up, and it will come.
Yeah, I love the conversation because we're trying to get you off the fence. And it's
Right.
important that if you're looking to build wealth, generational wealth for your family, I talk to a lot of single mothers, right, who are renters. And when I have conversations with them about building wealth for their families, it's something that hits home with them, right? And when you were talking, Maurice, I started thinking about your first home, right? And we can kind of think about our first home. There's nothing like having a first home, especially when you rented for so long. I remember when I purchased my first home, being able to, I want to paint this room purple, right? Any color I wanted to paint it, right? Where renting, they don't really want you to paint, but if you do paint, you got to paint it white before or either get hit
Paint it
with
back.
paint it back, right? But or putting something up but that comes with those other things, the maintenance, right?
Mhm.
Where that's kind of people are fearful. Oh, I'm used to picking up the phone and calling my landlord, right? If something's wrong. But it's all about learning new things and just being responsible for your home and handling your business and taking care of things. Find a trusted person, a trusted plumber. Go to the real estate agent, go to the lender, and if you need to say, hey,
Mhm.
I need something happened to my plumbing and I need somebody to come and fix it, right? So it's all about building a community, right, around you to really help you who you trust and believe in.
As
I
I-
think that's important.
As I was saying, homeownership is a lifestyle.
It is.
I
So
like that.
all of that comes into play. You start to get known at Home Depot and Menards, you know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
And you want to do that, and you can, you're learning skills when
Right.
you're actually learning how to take care of your place. So yeah,
It's
and when go ahead.
it's just adding, another level of responsibility. And it really helps. It kind of boils down to, you're coming home and you're looking around and you can just say, this is mine.
Mhm.
This is mine.
That's
Right.
right.
It isn't, oh, I'm just taking
Pride.
this spot until
Mhm.
my lease is up or anything. This is mine.
It-
And it dives into your pride, and it really helps
Mhm.
your confidence.
Yeah,
It's-
there's pride in
sky's the limit.
homeownership, and one thing about that generational wealth, it brings in the stability. When you own a home, there's more stability, right? Your kids are going to the same schools. There's not a lot of interruptions in your life.
Right.
When you're renting and you have to move every so often, you're interrupting your life. And now when you got kids, you know what I mean? They're kind of focused. Now they can get to the higher education because they're more focused, right? So it builds in all different kinds of ways.
Absolutely.
So the stability of homeownership is along with that lifestyle and like you said, responsibility, that pride, that builds communities because you mentioned the community, the people, the connection. It just turns into all positive.
That stability is very important, I think,
Yes.
for really any family. I was actually thinking about the cost involved in purchasing a home, right? And, some people say, oh, it costs too much. But at the same time, as the rates are going up, right? Rent's increasing, which is what I'm hearing.
Yes.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
somebody
Absolutely.
thinking, oh, I'll just continue to rent. I had a client and they're like, I'll just continue to rent. I'll be fine. Versus buying a home, right? Because they were thinking they were on the fence and they decided not to buy a home. And then their rent went up $500.
Mhm.
Oh,
And,
wow.
and so it was kind of like,
You felt it, didn't you?
yeah. So those who are thinking that renting is, again, if
It's a
that's-
necessity. We won't.
gotta live
you won't-
somewhere.
Yeah, you got to
Not a
start
long-term
somehow.
Yeah.
solution.
But
Yeah.
it should be temporary.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great. So as we're getting ready to wrap up, I guess I just want to go around and see if there's anything that you want to share with the audience or something that you didn't talk about, just that you want to, or something you want to reiterate. And we'll start with our new homeowner. And let's show our new homeowner in front of his condo.
All right.
I think we have it up there, Gabe.
Yes, I believe that this was the moving day.
Oh, okay.
This picture, I ended up taking a picture right in front of just the complex doors. I was
Okay.
very excited. And I think the one thing that I just want to put out there and just really really emphasize is
All
There we
right.
go.
I'm just like everybody else. I'm a 24-year-old, and just seeing that I can make it just should give you the confidence and the pride knowing that you can do it as well. This is not like a elite group to be in, just like being a homeowner it's not sectioned off just for the quote unquote elite. You just need to have the right steps, and you can be there as well. This is for everybody, and I really want to see more people that look like us in homes, happy, building generational wealth, and passing it down, and just creating more for yourselves, because we have the capacity to do it. We're building more things, programs, like learning and places to share this knowledge, and I just feel like we're taking the right steps, and we just need to keep on applying pressure.
Yes.
I love it. I love it.
I love the success story, because that's kind of, like I said, that's that priceless pay we get, right?
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's what it's all about.
It's about generation. I love passing it down.
Mhm.
Because we love our families, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
We love our
Yeah.
families, and who doesn't want to pass something down to their family? And whether if it's, home ownership, I think that's great, because that's something that's always going to stay there and remain. So,
Right.
Giving them something to start with.
Mhm.
That's
Go ahead.
right.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I guess just my biggest takeaway is it is never a bad time to buy. Don't wait. If you're scared, if you're nervous, go out and talk to an advisor, talk to a lender, talk to a realtor. Somebody can help walk you through the process. We're going to use our Trent's favorite line, right? What does he say? It's not a fast no, it's a slow yes.
There you
So
go.
even though you may not be ready right now, I think it's really important that you begin the process
Mhm.
to find out what it's going to take for you to get there, because it's never a bad time to buy.
Love it.
All right. I guess, again, it's never a bad time to buy. I get the same question all the time. You think I should wait? I'm going to wait. And they're real stubborn about it. No, you're missing the boat. Get on the train of equity now. Equity is actual money. Yeah, I think you'd rather put it in your pocket than to put it in the landlord's pocket,
There we go.
where you're subject to their whims. I mean, when they decide they want to make a move, it's going to affect you,
Mhm.
maybe in the negative, where they're benefiting. So definitely homeownership, like I said, there's importance to that. Like owning a home, you got to remember, when you're a homeowner, you get different mail than renters. You get information about what's going on in the communities.
Mhm.
You get those notifications about they're getting ready to do stuff that you got say so. And there was a time back in the day, if you didn't own real estate, you didn't have the right to vote. You didn't have any say so, right? But if you're invested, you get say so. So again, home ownership is very important. It's empowering, and we need that. Our people need that.
Just reminding me of a conversation that we had about market values increasing, right? And we were talking about properties last year and how much they've even increased from last year to this year.
Mhm.
In one case, it was like 50, but then I think there was another case we talked about 200,000, just the difference in 1 year that makes. So people are making money off their equity. It's sitting in the homes,
Absolutely.
right?
Yes.
But here's the thing, we can tap into that. People can tap into that equity,
Right.
whether if it's refinancing
Smartly.
completely,
Yeah.
smartly, do it smartly, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is, I always say, other people are doing it, right? That's how they've been sending Johnny,
Years ago-
to school,
Years ago, I
and starting
saw
their businesses. Go ahead.
years ago, I seen a house in Minnetonka on the lake
Mhm.
actually build itself because it took so long for it to build and
Mhm.
equity was growing really fast.
Mhm.
Wow.
Think about the
Yeah.
appraisal from the
Oh,
beginning
sure.
to the,
Wow.
before it ended. It
Mhm.
started to build itself. They could just
Wow.
borrow against the equity already and let it continue to build.
Right.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. Well, I just want to thank all of the panelists today. Brian, thank you. Jessica, Maurice, thank you so very much. And I'm sure our listening audience thanks you. You provided them with a wealth of knowledge. I think you provided them with the importance of home ownership, right? And you can purchase a home and you can give it a try and find somebody who you trust and put a team around you, right? Who start with an advisor, right? And then go with the real estate agent and a lender. And make sure they're people that you trust and that you believe in and that believes in you because they work for you. And that's important. As Jessica said, you're the most important person in the transaction,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And so that's important. You get somebody who's gonna work for you and have your best interest in mind, who's not out there just to sign this contract, because there's agents out there that do that, but that really care about you. Because as agents, we know if we're doing it with our heart and we're
The
doing
money's
it for
coming.
the right reason, the dollars are gonna come. So thank you so very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for
You
having
Yes,
us.
we
Appreciate it.
Appreciate that success story.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
I'll tell you that we have future sessions coming up through the NAREB podcast. We're going to be talking more about building wealth, talking about budgeting and money management. So please join us for the next NAREB podcast. Thank you for joining us today.
MBC. No relation to NBC.